I think I'm just a glutton for punishment. As much as I would like to say that I don't care about what happens to the human race, I actually do. I care about what happens to all humans, and I care about what happens to Black people. So, this is my final attempt. I'm going to try. I'm going to tag a conservative creator in these comments whose lives I've gone on a couple times in the last week. Now, I don't really have a history of going on lives. For some reason, for the last week, I've been live crazy. I've gone on a bunch of people's lives, like 5, 6 different lives. Usually there's only one live I go on a regular basis. I've been on like, I think maybe almost 6 different creators' lives, I think, in the past like week. It's been crazy. So the theme of this video is the problematic nature of the nuclear family, how it's bad for women, it's bad for children, and we need to build something new. We need to take whatever dregs are left of the nuclear family and come up with something new. This system was not designed for you to thrive. The system was not designed for your children, for your marriage, for your relationships to thrive. It was designed to be the most efficient at building capital for the owners of the means of production. One more time. The nuclear family's purpose is to help build wealth for the people who own the means of production. It is the most efficient way to organize society so that they can maximize the wealth. That's its purpose. So once you understand that, you totally get why it doesn't work. What follows are going to be some clips from some creators that I found. Some of them are regular people that I follow, and some things I found just due to searches, with some people, a diverse group of people, explaining their problems with the nuclear family and their problems with the hierarchy of relationships that it creates. Watch this.
And that the whole nuclear family thing is actually like an ideal that is actually really problematic. And this is pretty much where the breakdown of community happened. And that's not to say that, protecting your family or focusing on your family, your immediate family is the problem, but it's whenever it becomes literally everything and it shuts you off from the rest of community. And if you think about it, where are we now? The whole idea that there would be 2 parents, at least 2 kids, a TV, a dog, a washing machine, a car, all of these things, which turn into like what it's supposed to look like to be middle class. And we know who the middle class was. We've moved from big, interconnected, and extended families which help protect the most vulnerable people in society from the shocks of life to smaller, detached nuclear families, which give the most privileged people in society room to maximize their talents and expand their options.
European patriarchal family structures will tell you that a nuclear family is the only family. It did this to isolate women from their support systems. But we were never nuclear. We were communal family. We had our mothers, our fathers, our cousins, our uncles, our village. A husband was only one part of that structure, and not necessarily the most important part.
Most people do not yet conceive of the fact that the nuclear family is a part of capitalism, because it's the only thing that most people have known. It's the only way of organizing a society that most people are familiar with. Go back to like pre-agricultural times. There was no like division of labor between like home stuff and outside of home stuff. Enter the Industrial Revolution. Suddenly we could get a lot more done, and we could create wealth for the really wealthy people, the likes of which humanity had never before even pondered. Suddenly, if you could get people to work 8, 10, 12, 16-hour days, the wealth available to the people at the top of that pyramid was extraordinary.
Dr. Julio, your ass better still be watching.
In order for those people, mostly men, to be able to work those kind of hours, they had to have somebody at home doing the entirety of the domestic labor. Hence, the nuclear family. Let's shrink a person's entire community to the person they're married to and the people they birthed. Let's make one parent entirely responsible for everything on the home front so that the other parent can then go give inordinate amounts of time to capitalists. The whole thing would fall apart without the unpaid domestic labor of women. Blood is thicker than water, which we now use to basically mean that family is the most important of relationships. But the original phrase was, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The saying means that the chosen bonds are more significant than the bonds with family, or the water of the womb. More directly, it means that the relationships you make yourself are far more important than the ones that you don't choose.
I had two girlfriends who had three daughters between them. And so my daughter fits somewhere in there. So there was four girls, three moms. And there was a time when one of us would go pick up the four girls on a Monday. Another one would pick them up on a Tuesday. Another one picked them up on a Wednesday. We would feed them and bathe them. They would all bathe in the same bathtub. They became like sisters.
Relationship anarchy is valuable for all your relationships. Relationship anarchy is essentially this: getting rid of the hierarchy within your relationship. Instead, you get to prioritize connection. Anytime I hear something that is similar to the evangelical upbringing that I was raised in, this kind of thinking stems from the idea that God comes first, then your wife, then your kids. Oh, actually, before your wife, the church. So instead of thinking of these things within hierarchy, we get to prioritize the connection that each one needs.
No one seems to be talking about the role the nuclear family plays in this hellscape. Now, here is footage of our new nighttime routine now that my husband's other partner lives with us. You saw my husband sweeping. You saw his other partner reading to our oldest. Here I am doing a quick toy pickup in our kids' room before I get the baby ready for bed. A routine that used to take 2 hours now only takes 1.
Build and create and be open to a chosen family. I was married with 2 kids with a house and lived under the exact nuclear family model for years. And speaking from experience, it's super toxic. And it's missing so many amazing components. Like, I became a widow at 34 and pregnant, and so rebuilding my life after that, having a baby, and my best friend moved here from Hawaii and now works with me and has helped me raise my kids. And I have another dear friend who comes and stays with me half of her week and helps me raise my kids. And we have this sort of like familial platonic dynamic where we all want good things for each other and we all want these kids to turn out happy. I don't seek to fill the role of what would constitute me having that nuclear family life again. I don't want a husband. I don't even want like a stepdad necessarily. I'm ready for people just to be folded in and for us to just be a community.
We've moved from big interconnected families that protect the most vulnerable among us. And now everyone's just out here, kind of on their own, like you and 2 other people. This system is new. In the span of human history, living the way we do in nuclear families in little boxes made of ticky-tacky that all look the same, it's very new. We cling to it because for most people, the lifespan that they've lived is the 20th century. That's all we know. We had a woman co-raising kids with 2 close friends, and we had a polyamorous couple that brought another partner in who helps them raise their children in the house. And it doesn't matter if you're romantically entangled to the person you're raising kids with. You don't have to be. Actually, I think it's preferable that you're not, because romantic relationships are the most unstable relationships we have. Friendships and familial ties are much stronger, last much longer, particularly close friendships, that chosen family. But in order to make this work, like Dope Dad just said, you have to completely reform the way that you think of relationships. You have to stop looking at relationships as hierarchical and look at them in terms of connection. That last woman was a widow who brought her 2 closest friends into her home and they help her raise her kids. And she's so happy that she says she doesn't want to go back to the nuclear family structure. Even if she found another romantic partner, she would not want to go back to that because this, what she's doing now, raising kids with friends, is better. All I'm really saying here is just open your mind. The solutions of the past are not going to help us in the future. We have to come up with something new. We have to rebuild something completely new. Exactly the way we did communal living back in the day isn't going to work now either. We have to come up with a different version of that. But one thing's for certain, we have to start distancing ourselves from the nuclear family and the idea of centering that family and elevating those relationships above all others. We don't have to eliminate it, but we have to put it to the side, scooch it over a little bit to make room for other things that could be better for us, that likely will be better for us. And not everyone's going to do this. The nuclear family works for some people. It just doesn't work for most people. The difference between the people it works for and people it doesn't work for? Money. because the rich can afford to buy their village. Most people cannot. Think about it.